Good evening. It's another episode of Gym Crashers Live. We're here coming at you every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Tonight is a very special night. Got a great fighter that we being Adam and myself, my co-host Adam, according to Woods. We have a special guest in Aaron Lafarge, MMA fighter. Amazing dude. Came all this way to come check us out.
How's everyone doing?
Doing good, man. It's always good to see you, brother.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, man. Holy crap! It's been a little while since we've seen you, good sir. What's been going on in the mind of and the dealings of Aaron Lafarge?
That's a good question to start it off, but just a little bit of, actually a lot of different things. Actually, I think after my last fight, it was a little bit of kind of taking a step back and just enjoying the martial arts. You know,
that's a beautiful thing.
Jiu-jitsu mostly, but for me, it was always train, fight, and I was pretty active actually for like 2.5 years straight. So I was like, wow, you get caught up in what you're doing, but actually taking a step back and enjoying the martial art at its pure, right? Just kind of involving your game. That's what I've been trying to do. So that's what I've been.
That's really commendable, especially since you're already developed in so many different styles. In order to put the MMA game together and go fight professionally, you've already got a lot of development. So to step away and to enjoy kind of rebuilding and you're adding to your foundation, right, in the bag of tricks. That's an amazing thing, Aaron. I like that. So I'm peeping on you. I'm checking out your Instagram, and I see Oklahoma State.
Mm-hmm. Oklahoma, yeah. Well, Oklahoma City University is where I wrestled.
Oklahoma City, see.
I actually wrestled at 3 different schools. I wrestled junior college. I was All-American there. And I went to a school in Montana, All-American there. And I went out to Oklahoma my last year. And I was a national runner-up and an All-American there. So I definitely have a lot of experience wrestling.
She was shredded, dude, at a young age. I'm looking at those pictures. I'm like, geez almighty.
Yeah. Some of those pictures are like when I was in junior, like 8th grade. I wrestled, like I'd go to tournaments and stuff.
Yeah.
I you come across old pictures, so I just posted.
I love it. No, I was checking it out.
And so like, oh, yeah.
I wanted to know kind of how to go with this interview. I didn't want to just freeform it. And that wrestling beginning, I don't know if you've checked it out, but you see Aaron as a very young man, but he is shredded. He looks like a young Bruce Lee, man. He's doing his thing. So you've been competing since what age?
Well, wrestling-wise, I've been an athlete my whole life, but wrestling-wise, like 8th grade is when I really got into it. I think, my uncle was always a coach, so he took me. At the time, he would take me to go with like the best guys in the area, so it wasn't like I was just going to some Like I was actually training already with like some of the best kids in the state.
It's very cool. You grind it out.
Yeah.
Do a quick favor. Grab Aaron's mic.
Yep.
Unplug it and plug it back in.
Oh, okay. We're not getting any sound here. We're going to do a little production right during the production. And we're going to make sure of that. Why don't you check that sound real quick there, Robert?
Does that sound better, Robert?
Say something again.
Hello?
Yeah, it's a little low.
We're golden?
Yeah,
Maybe I'll talk a little louder. How's that, Robert?
That's not your fault. It's here. I got it.
Okay.
Robert's going to wiggle the machine a little bit and do some production magic.
There we go.
He's got to do what he's got to do.
Yeah,
Everything's on duct tape, so he's got to re-duct tape stuff in here. So it's all good.
there you go.
I like that Ozzy Osbourne
works,
shirt there,
right?
Woods.
Hey, dude.
Check him out.
I've literally had this shirt since I was like in 12th grade?
Really?
11th?
Those shirts right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Diary of a
throwback.
Man.
Yeah,
I like
absolutely.
those ones.
Well, I mean, the throwback
This is
before it was
vintage.
cool. Yeah, exactly.
Are
But-
you telling me you fit into the same T-shirt you fit in when you were in 12th grade?
yeah, no shit.
Really?
Actually, yeah, for sure. But I mean,
Because I was built like Aaron in 12th grade. And now, you know, I can fit into your shirt.
I was a fucking fat kid my entire life, and nothing has changed since I'm an adult. But fuck, man, talk about wrestling in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That's serious business.
Yeah,
It
man.
is.
I mean, that's like a hotbed. I mean,
It is.
us on the West Coast, unfortunately, don't have the. I don't want to say not the pedigree, but I mean, when you're wrestling from Florida all the way up into the Eastern Seaboard, I mean, wrestling is life, right?
It
I
is,
mean,
it
you can
truly
fill
is.
arenas
Right.
just on amateur Greco-Roman and freestyle competitions, high school and otherwise.
Right.
So, I mean, how was that kind of formative? Obviously, you've been a athlete your entire life, but
Yeah.
what kind of input and insight did that kind of give you for your later career in MMA?
As far as an athlete or competing.
Either or,
Just, you
brother.
know, well, I think as far as being an athlete from a young age, it definitely one-on-one, like transitioning into MMA, it was very it was like second nature almost. It was automatic to me because like fighting is one-on-one. So I enjoy that. Like I find that better than team sports because obviously like football or any other sport, like you got other players on the field, but as far as fighting or one-on-one sports, like that's what I always drew to because it was just you and your training and the way you approach it.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. But I always lean back on that thought process that steel sharpens steel. You're only as tough as the guys you're training with, right?
That's true. That's correct. That's
So
100%.
it's super important to have a good
Yeah.
team. Not a team sport, but definitely important to have a good team behind
Exactly.
you. So
That's very true.
And Midwest is cow tip country. So if you're not tipping cows, you're pinning guys to the mat. It's one or the other, right?
Yeah.
Not a whole lot going on out there, but
Yeah.
people's college careers are based upon kicking ass and wrestling. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool that you were out there. And then so you're out there for what, 4 years?
Yeah. Well, total, 4 years. I spent 4 years wrestling. So.
Was it culture shock coming from California?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think both states was as far as in weather too, and like what people do, and like just the culture, or their personality. It's just
Totally.
people are like into certain things, or it's like, that's interesting. Like they want to know about you. So I would.
Oh yeah, you're the California kid out there.
Yeah, but yeah,
Chicks are coming your
I try to
way.
represent pretty well.
Yeah.
Like I from a perfect place. Like in
Yeah.
Southern California, I think so.
You got a little bit of everything from
Yeah.
where you're from, buddy.
Exactly. But I think the number one culture shock was the weather. I didn't.
Oh God, yeah.
Especially in Oklahoma, you'd get literally you put a tank top on and then it start raining.
You get all 4
Start
seasons in
windy.
one day.
I'm like, wow, yeah,
That's
exactly,
crazy.
It's true. So it's like I got a tank top on. It's windy. It's windy and it's raining and it's like, geez. Then it gets sunny.
Yeah, all
So,
out of
I'm
nowhere.
like soaked with the tank top on. Yeah, it's interesting.
Woods has a question. I can see it on his face.
So how are the beaches in Oklahoma?
There was no.
There got to be lakes, something, right? Tornadoes hit. I don't know.
Tornadoes for sure. So
That's the same as a tsunami, right?
No,
different.
hell no. You didn't see Twister? This guy lived it.
Oh
And I
gosh.
don't mean the Twister.
Calm before the storm is a real thing. I found that out in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Because
gets
actually, I
quiet?
was doing jiu-jitsu. It was right after my wrestling season, so I stopped. There was like our school wasn't that far from actually like Rafael Lovato school, and
Yeah.
then there was another little school,
I didn't know Rafael Lovato was out there. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's in Oklahoma City.
Whoa.
So it was, I didn't train with him, but there was another school, and actually there was like 3 really good schools. And so I went to one of them for jiu-jitsu, like just for fun.
Smart.
And it was like, I remember in there, like we're in the middle of a roll, and literally like everyone's like, the windows just start shaking. Shh. And like I'm looking outside, it's like pouring rain, or it's sunny at first. So I'm like, hey, why are the windows shaking? And they're like, oh, it's all good, like just keep rolling. Then I look again, it's like pouring rain, and I'm like, what's going on? You know, like, you know, I've never really seen that, you know. And so they're like, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, lock the doors, like stop rolling. Basement. So I'm like, okay. And so they locked the doors, and I remember there was one black belt. He was like, let's keep rolling. If this tornado comes through, like, I want to go rolling.
It's a black belt.
I'm like, all right, that's what's up, man. Like, I'm like, okay, wow. So what do we do, though? I was like, do we just stop rolling? Do we have to go underground? Or they're like, no, like, just go in the corner and let's just hang out or, you know. So I remember I was just sitting there, like, and it kind of, I guess it went by, like, 30 minutes later. So it was definitely an interesting experience, you know. Never experienced that.
I think that's heavy, man. I've seen the movie. It freaks me out.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was pretty.
Especially coming from California.
Yeah, it's like, man, I actually like it. Makes you appreciate California a little more. It's like, you can drive whenever you want, right? I mean, I can imagine being on the highway, like in the middle of like the country in Oklahoma. Because I was in the city.
I seen Twister.
Yeah,
I seen the Wizard of Oz. I have it on there too.
Wait, no, Twister, right? That's the one that has Mark Hunt's sister, Helen Hunt, right?
That's right.
Yeah, Helen Hunt.
There you go.
Robert's other brother.
There you go.
Really funny.
Tell us, Robert.
First time I went to Omaha.
Omaha.
Yeah, there was.
That's fun to say.
I went to the building that I was working in, and there were like little shelter, like things in there, and I started freaking out. It was like, this is for you guys have tornadoes? I just like, oh man. And then there was like thunder and a whole bunch of like noise. I was like, I thought it was a twist. They all laughed at me.
And who did you train with out there? Gracie's as well?
I trained with Vagi, those guys. Jason Brill's guys from like where I think it's Premier or something.
Yeah.
And I trained
and they were like purple belts and below. There wasn't even black belts at that time. It was 10 years ago.
No. It wasn't. There were black belts there.
Yeah.
I know Houston Alexander was at the same spot. I didn't see any of those guys. I trained with 10th Planet out there. Can't remember the guy's name. Derek Sims. It's his school, but he wasn't there. He was on vacation in Hawaii that time. He had another blue belt.
He went to Hawaii. Hawaii came to him.
Yeah, exactly. No way.
Funny, yeah. I went all the way out there. I trained for like I think 2 or 3 weeks out there at different spots or whatever I could while I was working out there. Yeah, it was cool. I mean, I got to.
Were they heavy wrestling because you're in the Midwest? Did you notice they wrestled the hell out of you?
There was this. I was not this size back then. I was way like 120 pounds lighter. I was like probably 220 maybe. And there was a guy there that was 6'6", probably 245, yoked ass like country dude, and he was maybe
pitching hay bales.
3rd week there.
Oh Jesus!
And I was like, bro, if you had just a little more technique, I'd be in big trouble. Big trouble.
Those are never fun.
Tough then.
Yeah.
8 years
but
old.
this is not the Robert Simerson show, even though we love Robert
Simerson.
Good stories, but no twisters while you're there, I take it, so.
Not.
Is what it is. Robert gets hurricanes on the island where he's from, so twisters are nothing new to him.
What island?
Oahu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's an island. I kind of know it.
What about you? In Fiji, you got hurricanes?
Hell yeah, but we don't have any mountain ranges, so like literally, hey, guess what? Run to the other side of the island. That's just like the one you fucking left. You're getting fucked away.
Fiji, by the way.
It's good. It's rainy. It's island, and it's cool. Fuck yeah.
Here's what I know about Fiji. You've been to Hawaii. I know this.
Okay.
Okay.
Because they're same.
It's America, right? It's
yes,
the same as California, a little more tropical. We all love that.
Yes.
But Fiji, very differently than Hawaii, each town is like a village, and each village has a chief. It's a chiefdom.
Yep.
Oh.
So it's still very traditional.
Yeah, very traditional. Yeah.
Not out islands, all islands.
Wow.
Even
Yeah.
the main island, Viti Levu.
Yeah, VT and Viana. Yeah, for sure.
You gotta go with Woods if you want to get.
Dude, we'll get cut on kava, and
Adam sniffs his kava.
you heard about the kava?
Oh, Hawaii, they
Yeah. Okay. So I think that might be like an on location Jim Crashers episode.
Oh yeah, we're going.
Lafarge,
When Woods
Don Orlando and let's do that. Yeah, on location in Fiji. So you down?
Yeah, I'm 100%.
All right, let's do it.
Ian Freak Show is taking us on a trip.
Fuck yeah. Again, the trip, going back to the Oklahoma deal, I got a picture, as you guys were talking, about Eddie Bravo in the midst of a twister, hitting the twister while he's high in a tornado.
Listening to Twisted Sister.
Yes, there you go. Fuck yeah. And his wife was probably somebody's sister, so there's that. 10 points. Yes, that's looking great. That's looking great. Yeah. Okay, you're on. No. Oh, man. So how did you come into MMA? Like,
yeah, how does that happen? So you're obviously a talented wrestler, young man. You got that fire, and then you're looking at fights. Is that what happens? You see UFC, what happens?
Well, I would honestly, from the very first memory that I have was I can't remember if it was. Well, I just remember Tito fought Chuck. So whatever, and I believe it was. I think it was the first time they fought. So obviously, 15 years ago. You know, it was
longer.
It might have
15
been.
years of
It
Blink.
might have been longer than that, but that's when I first got like the thought, like, hey, because I remember the announcer.
Because he's a wrestler, right?
Right, they both were in the.
That's right.
And like I was wrestling, I was like in 8th grade, so I was like, man, this is something I would love to do.
Yeah.
Like I gotta
get to that level.
Do that. So obviously, in the back of my mind, as I kept training, I was like, I'm definitely gonna do that.
That's very cool.
So as time went on, I wanted to do it. So.
That's awesome. So how do you transition? You're going from wrestling, and now you need hands, you need kicks, you got the takedowns, you don't got submissions. So how do you search that kind of thing out?
Well, like, interesting story. Like, it was a wrestling tournament. Like, we had to, like, fly into Cancun. And I remember we were waiting for
It's a rough life Aaron Lafarge has.
I was a teenager still, right? We were wrestling, like, a freestyle tournament against, like, a out-of-the-country tournament. So we were waiting.
Awesome.
And I remember this was at the time Aaron Pico was just, he was a young kid. We were waiting for him. And
it's crazy.
I remember we picked him up and we were driving on the way. And I know Aaron and his brother, his family, he's a good family. So, he was showing me his hand wraps. And he was like, man, Aaron, like, you should start boxing. And then, I was he was young, I was young. I was in the junior division. He was in, like, a first-year cadet. And I was like...
He's a little bit older than you.
Yeah, I was older than him. And
I didn't even figure we were going to go this direction, but they're close if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Lamarada, right? It's all right there.
And
so
I know
Lafarge and Pico are right there. So his brothers in your age group?
Yeah, and they're good. They're good people. They're always, he was a buddy of mine. So, but he was showing me his hand wraps. He's like, hey, you should really start boxing. Like, hey, like. I was telling him, like, MMA, and then he's like, well, hey, you gotta start boxing. And and I remember he was a kid, so I was like, and he was already, what you guys see now, he had already been Golden Glove, and
pretty experienced.
Desert Showdown. Yeah, he's got, and so like, all right, where, I was asking where he was boxing, and he was like, man, I'm right in La Habra, like, La Habra Boxing Club, and I was like, shoot, I gotta go down there, and then so that's where I started boxing. I think I was 18, just turned 19, so I started boxing there too, like sparring.
Pretty cool.
So I've been boxing for a little bit of time. Like, I understand as far as like the slipping, the rolling, and but I think tying it all together, like now the kicks is like, that's what I'm more like when I stepped away. Like I was telling you guys, that's what I was more focusing, kind of just mixing it all.
Yeah.
Get together.
Well, there is a transition because boxers have a hell of a time with Muay Thai fighters.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Wrestlers just get a hold of you and wrestle the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Right. That's what you do. You grind it out. That's what you're trained for.
Yeah.
But having good strikes and good kicks, it changes the game, and now submissions too.
Yeah.
So you're talking about boxing. You're getting your hands together. You already got some ground.
Yeah.
And then where does the rest get put together? How do you get to Muay Thai? How do you get to Jiu-Jitsu?
Well, Jiu-Jitsu, I've always been like I said, a Gracie Barra guy, and so like when I finished school, I was doing Jiu-Jitsu out there, and then I actually lived in Hawaii for a time, and I actually did.
Tell me more about that. Robert wants to know. Inquiring minds want to know.
It's a definitely interesting road that like where I ended up here. So, but like
people
anyways,
fight in Hawaii, and everybody thinks it's all aloha and hotels, but no.
It's that's like
I like to emphasize this.
Hawaiians are very like
aggressive.
You look at them and it's like it's almost like
right. It's like being in a Cholo neighborhood almost, right?
Yeah. So, but I dated a girl. She was Hawaiian, and I actually lived with her in the Hawaiian home. So like, we'd go to the beach or a luau or any family function.
But like, you don't look haole to me, so you got by until you opened your mouth.
That's what they told me. They're like, oh, you can kind of pass, but and her family is like really, you know, they're like really prideful Hawaiians. So it's like they're like, oh, you could pass, but like the way you talk, you know,
what's up, yo?
Yeah, you know, like, cause they got how they talk, you know, sometimes like pigeon. You know?
I yell at my producer daily for that.
Yeah, and so
I do 1-word statements.
But the one thing I would say about the Hawaiian people is that I really like the way they observe people. That's what I've learned from them. Like they like to observe, and I think I picked that up. And I think honestly, like it's funny because that's helped me with my MMA. Like I could observe like someone sparring,
sure,
and I could add that.
Pick it apart.
Yeah, I could like break it down.
That's cool.
But anyways, that's besides the point. Yeah,
but that's interesting thing that you took from a place that you moved to. Find a girl, you learn about culture a little bit. It's different than being at home, and now you're picking people apart in a way that you had never thought of. Yeah, because you got a fighting mind.
Yeah, so that's and her dad, he was like a military guy actually. He was in the military, so he was very like, you know, even though I was dating her, like he was really like hard. He was kind of hard on me, like one of his sons, and then I found a boxing gym. It was actually the Kona Boxing Club.
Oh, you're on the Big Island.
Yeah, I was on the big. So KJ Nunes came out of there. I don't know if you guys.
I know KJ Nunes. He's down in San Diego right now, but yeah.
Yeah, and he came out of there, and then they had a guy who was on the. He fought professional MMA, and he was on the Olympic. He was made it to the finals of the Olympic trials. Forget his name, but like and they got a lot of up and coming guys, and
you got BJ and those guys out there. He was already. BJ's already the man
BJ,
by that time, right?
And he was on the Hilo side, yeah.
So other side.
He said, they got his gym. But
it's so quiet on the Big Island, so you're just focused. You got your girl, you're doing your thing.
Yeah, and
you got a goat to mow the lawn, a chicken in the backyard.
Yeah, it's a little country, right? The Big Island. So, but I found this boxing club, and I went like after work. It was like a thing. Like I loved going there, and the guys were really cool, and they worked with me on my hands. So and I love the thing about the Hawaiians is that especially on the Big Island, they didn't have a lot of resources. So they actually work they're very big on detail.
Sure.
So little details. They're like, oh, you need to do this. So I've always I've always kept that with me so I've always someone would be like, oh, do this 5 times or do it like this, and I'll do it even more. So more emphasis. But
that's great.
I eventually made my way back to California. So. And that's how I really started.
It's hard to come back.
Yeah, it is. So
right?
It is. I do miss it sometimes.
The pace over there, that's what I miss.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, the pace is actually a lot slower.
Well, you can get things done. You can't get nothing done in California. You got no time.
Yeah,
right?
It seems like there's 10 different things pulling you.
Try to come down Beach Boulevard, takes you an hour.
Yeah.
It should take you 15 minutes, but it doesn't, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy, but that's good times, man.
So it's been a journey for sure, and I still, there's people, I actually was talking to, the people, some of them, that I was around when I was there, and they're like, hey, you come back this summer, or,
Let me know, dude.
I don't know. I know it's...
I'm going. I got 10 nights free in Waikoloa, so I'm going.
Oh, that's...
It's tempting, right?
Yeah.
I haven't even had time to use it. I got so much going on, but I feel you.
Tempting.
I want to get out there,
Yeah, absolutely. But actually, the date they want me to go is around the time I might fight. So I
like this. He segues into the next question. Hit it, Mr. Wood.
Absolutely.
Itchy fingers and want to ask him a little more.
Yeah. So, well, first off, I've been going back to your wrestling pedigree. When you were kind of in the trenches with your teammates and working towards a common goal of becoming kind of elite level grapplers in a grappling rich region, what was the kind of insight to MMA? Were people kind of was that maybe a way out of wrestling or a way to utilize wrestling in a different degree? Because a lot of people will say if you're putting together a MMA fighter or a game plan, wrestling is essentially the best foundation that you can have.
Exactly. In my personal opinion, I think wrestling is still king in MMA, even though like you guys were saying, there's obviously other arts that go into it. But if you look at the guys coming up, and then even guys to me, it's Cormier he wrestled at Oklahoma State,
right?
So I think a lot of the good wrestlers actually went to college in that region, and it's just a really big
Matt
region
Hughes,
for wrestling.
all those guys, right?
Yeah, but I just think for me, wrestling was just going to guide me to him. I think it was an avenue to get there, So I think, hey, if I do really well and I go to where the best wrestlers are, I'll at least have my IQ of wrestling, and the competitive edge will, everything will just increase, So that was my mindset. and I knew that would benefit me going forward. So like I competed against guys that actually did go to Oklahoma State, Division II, All-Americans, nationals. Like I competed the top JUCO guys. Actually, the #1 JUCO in the nation is in Oklahoma. So a lot of those guys were tough. So it was a really good place to go and compete.
Crazy. One thing I notice is that when a wrestler gets in on a shot, they just don't give it up, right? You grind until you take that guy down. Where other people take a shot and they get back to their feet if they're smashed or whatever takes place.
Right.
But somebody will follow through with determination. They change angles, right?
Exactly.
Get him up to the cage, pull his legs out from under him, start swinging, whatever you got to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's just what it's about.
But
It's all
just
in the shot.
mindset. Yep.
Yeah.
It's just the way I think you've been trained. So, kind of like if you train somebody to do a certain thing, that's what their mindset knows. So I think as far as me or like any other, I think wrestler or someone that was like an All-American national champ, they understand like that's what you're trained to do.
Yeah, it's your job.
Yeah.
But you teach your body to do something. You do it without thinking.
Exactly.
That's the crazy part, right? When it just does it.
Yeah. So that's the way I think, like if I could do it, like I said, it's almost automatic. It's like walking, like you don't think when you walk, right? You just walk. Like that's how I am. Like, hey, I get here, then I'm over here.
For sure.
So.
But how long has it been since you fought last? Been a year,
It's
right?
been a year, yes.
Yep, I thought so. I remember. So, been a year since you fought. We're talking about maybe some stuff coming up.
Yeah.
Possibly this summer. Summer is around the block. How do you feel right now? Are you tip-top shape? You need to get in a fight camp? What are you feeling?
Like I said, I've been training jiu-jitsu. I'm actually working on it right now. I'm getting my conditioning up. I'm getting back in that fight mentality, and I've got some time to really sharpen some things up.
That's for sure.
I'm not 100% where I want to be exactly. I think for me, because I have actually hold myself to a very high standard when I train, but I think I have more room to grow. I got some things to work on, so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just sharpening up some tools.
Cool. How does having Aaron Pico kind of in your periphery, kind of amongst the people and the peers that you have, play into your drive? Because he's a high level dude and he's got like a target on him right now.
Right, Aaron, and that's exactly. And I think Aaron, I remember when he was like a kid, like 8, and he's obviously a great athlete, and he's someone as well. I think from a younger age, had that mindset where he wanted to do this. So I think, he's taken on big fights early, and I think it's. Obviously, he's a great competitor. I think he's gonna do great things, and
he's still young. There's a long road ahead of him.
Yeah, I think the best is still in front of him. So
for sure,
and
I think we all agree on that. People,
yeah,
I think Nike agrees on that.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
No, he's a good dude, and he trains extremely hard. Like that's one thing I know about him. His work ethic is through the roof, and that's that's one thing he adds, and I know how hard he trains, and I try to train very hard, as well.
Yeah,
so.
And he's a super professional guy. I like the way you guys both carry. I see similarities. One reason why I brought it up, not just in the name Aaron, not just because you live next to each other, but he rocks the suit. He's looking sharp. You're looking good when you come out here. I like that.
I try,
polished. But that's cool. That's a good way to be, and I could see good things happening. Getting back to your possible fight, you think it'll be here in California? Because I know you've done things out of the country. So
honestly, the talk was that it could be out of the country, but the last I've heard, and like I said, nothing is signed and sealed and official yet. But what I've heard, it's going to be in the area, or it's going to be in Southern California.
That's good.
And I've heard the venue too, so I'm pretty excited. I think it's going to be.
This is where your fan base is, so hopefully we'll be first to announce that, because I want to build that up and get people out in seats and checking out Mr. Lafarge, because that's going to be exciting.
Yep.
That's cool. I can sense it in him, man. There's energy there. There's some electricity around this. Yeah. Like you said, not 100%, but when the time comes, he's ready to go. Mm-hmm. And that's a beautiful place to be. I love it.
Now, in terms of your career thus far, has it progressed the way that you kind of saw it all those years ago when you started training?
Yeah, and that is a good question.
Yeah,
that is a good question. I think, honestly, and I think there's some things that I have to work on that I've learned. I think up to this point, I think when you're young, you kind of see the final product. You see the fighters at the time. Well, for me, when I first saw it, like Tito and Chuck were already
Right.
those guys were at the time were starting to make money, and so you don't really see the ins and outs and how they got there. So now I'm experiencing like, hey, wow, like there's a business, there's things you got to do, and there's people you got to negotiate with, and there's extra things outside of not just training and fighting. So that's what I've learned as far as that question. But I think I'm just hitting stride. I think a lot of people don't understand, like I'm just starting to hit stride. Like I'm just starting to like connect the dots in MMA. So it's like I think once I fully connect those dots, like I think there's gonna be some damage done. I think so. So I think that's what I'm working on. So
Yeah, it sounds like you're understanding yourself as a fighter.
Yeah,
and really putting those
exactly.
things together. I like that. You're developing. But the other part of it is that as a professional, you got to sell tickets.
Yeah.
You got to do interviews. You got
Exactly.
to be in tip-top shape. You got to eat right. You got to sleep right. You
Yep.
got to live right.
exactly.
You got to think right.
Exactly.
Right? It's not just attitude. It's also overall morale.
Right. It's your
Right,
whole life.
absolutely.
It's a lifestyle.
Surround yourself with the right people,
Mhm.
and then come in and talk with guys like me and Adam, and like put that all out there too.
Yeah.
And it's a.
You guys are good guys, though. You guys are easy to talk to. So.
Thank you, brother. My
You're
my
too
job
kind.
is to make you shine. That's what I'm all about, and that's what we do for our
Appreciate
homies
that.
that are in the area.
Yeah.
This is Southern California's finest, the fighting pride of La Habra right here. So,
Damn
like that.
right.
I'm
I
very
like
proud
that.
to have him in,
Yeah.
and I know that he's going to go places. So
Yep.
we'll just do our best to follow this guy. But that's what it's about, and definitely a fan. I mean, interestingly enough, I met Aaron at Celtic Gladiator. I
Yeah.
saw Adam. I don't know if I shook hands with him, but it's kind of
Shook
where
something.
we kicked. I'm always shaking something, that's for sure. But we kind of got our MMA commentator, correspondent, interviewer career
Something
started
out there,
around
one
that
of the five.
time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Albert Jarzabak and the Celtic Gladiator people had helped us kind of kickstart that, and his career as well as a
Yeah.
fighter, as a pro fighter. So
Yep.
it's kind of cool that we're here today because,
Close to 2 years later, and we're all kind of like, oh shit, nice.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah, it's huge. It's a big deal, dude. I'm all excited about this. This is a
Yeah,
big deal to me.
absolutely.
Having Aaron here for this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I bring it up.
And actually, the first time that I heard your name, and we could kind of get into it if you
Yeah.
are so
absolutely.
willing, was by a guy named Ray Lopez. Obviously, we unfortunately lost Ray a couple weeks ago, and Ray Lopez was a huge member of our MMA community.
The fight world has lost a great person,
a
right?
great,
Yeah,
a great
that's true.
dude.
Not just
Yeah.
us as three people, but
No.
Southern California fight community has lost
beyond.
a pillar.
Yeah.
Yeah, lost a
Absolutely.
pillar in Ray.
So, how did your relationship with Ray begin?
Actually, it's crazy you bring up Ray. Ray's was an awesome guy. Like he was actually, that I think about it, he's like one of the best guys I met in MMA. It's like as far as like training partners, coaches, and like I look back and he was just a genuine guy.
That's hard to find. That's cool.
Exactly, and I think that's what I found out later about him.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it then, but like Ray, he took me out to eat one time. And we just really sat down and got to know each other. Like he came and watched me train, and this was like, I was just like coming up, and he could already see like,
Sure.
hey man, like let's go out to eat. Like I want to talk to you, and so I'm like, all right. And he's like, hey, bring whoever you want. Like I got it. Like let's just talk. And so I was like, all right. And so I came, I met him. He was just telling me about himself and just kind of wanted to get to know me. And I was like, man, this is a good dude right here.
Sure.
And
He sees talent. He recognizes it.
Yeah.
He's in the game.
and he's like, I really like that you're a wrestler too. And he's like, man, like wrestling is like the the best thing that you could have. And he's like, we ended up talking, and we didn't, really come to agreements on anything. Not any bad way. I think at the time I was like, Ray, let's just, take it one day at a time and kind of do it like that, And so to hear that he passed away recently like that, I was like, wow.
Too soon, man.
Yeah, I was
the
like,
world
Ray's
took him
like-
too soon.
Yeah, I actually saw like a post, and I actually didn't believe it. I was
Yeah.
like, I actually because actually I met him through actually Mark. I don't know if you guys know Mark, but Matsumoto.
Yeah.
He's-
Mark
he's a
Matsumoto.
good- he's a good dude.
Matsumoto time. There
Yeah,
you go.
Matsumoto time.
Yo.
He's a good guy. And I remember he's like, hey, I know Ray, and maybe you know, you could talk to him, and so that's how that came to be. But Ray's always a cool guy. When I saw him, like I would even see him in the dressing room before some fights, and
That's
he was
cool.
always good luck and
Yeah.
nice guy.
Yeah, I always saw him behind the scenes. That's where I was at, you know.
Yeah,
Wherever the fighters are getting prepped and ready, he was kind of cruising through and taking care of his people,
exactly.
but being good to everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the crazy thing. Like, where at times fighters can be, you know, when you expend so much of your energy and time in the gym, you know, it's kind
Yeah.
of hard to kind of step away from that too. And that's why it's so, we're so grateful for you to come, because, you know, to kind of share a part of yourself in an interview or
Yeah,
a photo spread or like renegade management meet and greets, you know.
Yeah.
He had the insight to really make other people see, and then you guys yourself, what superstars that you guys were in and
Yeah.
out of the
Huge
cage.
potential, man.
Absolutely.
And honestly, it's like now you guys are talking about it, like it's. I think the people I was around before, like I took a little like time and like I just kind of stepped away from MMA. I think some of the people I was around, like it kind of got in between me and Ray, where I didn't really, because if it was now, I would really go with Ray. I'd say Ray's a good guy. Like I know he's gonna take care of me.
Yeah.
But like the people at the time is like they were saying something and they're like, hey, you know, maybe you should go this or do this, or you sure Ray could do this? And it's like,
There's always that. Just don't feel bad about that.
yeah,
That's the world, man.
And right, and I see, I was like,
Tugs
man,
at you.
that could be anybody, right? And but I was like, Ray is actually like he was down for all his fighters, like he loved his fighters, you know.
That's a
and
fact.
so like I was like, man, I look back and that's one thing I could say about Ray. Like I wish we could have, you know, went down that road together. Like I know he would have helped me for sure. So
Sure.
you
It's
know.
heavy, man. That is
Yeah.
a heavy expression right there
Yeah,
that you just
Ray's
gave
a
us. So,
good man, dude,
right?
Oh,
for sure.
Heavy
That's-
thoughts expressed.
Yeah.
But I definitely will carry him on in spirit. You know, like when I fight, like
Yeah.
you'll see Ray in there. So
That's cool. I know that they're gonna lay him to rest this weekend, so this is it. That's why we talk about it, you know. So
Right, absolutely. And you know, it's kind of even in him passing, he's still kind of involved in fight sports, because the day that his services, it's next Friday, that his
Yeah.
services take place, there's also a Combate America show.
right,
So it's kind of crazy where, you know,
Yeah.
it's just like,
All
of
in
course
LA.
it happens on a fight day, you know,
Yeah.
and that's almost like quintessentially Ray. And
Yeah.
some of the insights, like, you know, and I too are like you guys, where, you know, Ray was always trying to kind of figure me into different things whenever I got a bit of nerves or, you know, jitters about me before an interview or what have
Yeah.
you. And I think it's weird.
I never
when
knew you
people-
got jitters. I thought you just went for it, balls out.
Yeah.
I got that from
you're-
Ray. I got that from Ray, and so many, you and, you know, there were a lot of people that kind of helped me along the way. But Ray, I mean, there was a point where we almost did a podcast together, you know, and
that'd have been great.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So, you know, I totally understand your sentiments, and Mike Segura and Mark Matsumoto
Love
and
those guys, yeah.
Jonathan
Yeah.
Santa Maria, because
Yeah.
I mean, Ray
Exactly.
Ray did that for everybody, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
even the last time that I saw him was at Bellator, and the crazy thing about it is, like, he was introducing me to Freddie Colbert of the 86ers, and, like, again, Ray was
Yeah.
always in, like, making things work. There were there were points where, you know, like at the Renegade meet and greets, you know, down in Carson and what have you, how there were things that he would, like, I'm here with Ray Lopez, I'm going to shut my mouth and send
Yeah.
up to the learning tree. And there are things that he said about, like, some folks' like career trajectories and what's going to happen and whatever that have since come to pass. Now, you know, he kind of shared that
understood
with
things,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the amount of insight that he kind of had. He was much like all of us are, you know,
Yeah.
that we're students of the game. You don't go into the gym going like, I'm king shit.
Yeah.
Hell no,
No.
because that'll be
You
the
can
day
try.
that you get,
Yeah.
you get
You're beat up.
your head knocked
Yeah.
off. That'll be the day that you get submitted 80 times
Right.
in a 6-minute round and what have you.
Exactly.
You know, but the thing about it is, like, to be able to kind of carry yourself amongst all of that, you know, like a champion, right? So
Exactly.
and that's one thing that braided, for me and
Yeah.
so many others. And I mean, sometimes it sucks because it's not until the person passes do you really kind of
Yeah,
begin
that's
to,
really break it down,
decompose-
right?
Right, exactly.
Like wow, like
The
you really
impact.
analyze it, and you're like, wow, this person did this, like all this, and he helped me in this way, or
Right.
helped this person. Like it opens your eyes to a lot more. Like I completely understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
100%.
It
Like,
makes
it's-
me appreciate everyone that we do business with. Right?
Yeah.
Everybody that we touch when it comes to fights,
Yeah.
training, shows. I see them out in public. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
brotherhood that we have here in Southern California, I don't know what exists elsewhere because I am from here, but it's a special thing. And we have
Yeah.
the talent pool. We have the promotions.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We have tomorrow's future today.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Absolutely. I mean, I even, was driving down Beach Boulevard on the way over to the studio, and a car next to me like, what's up? And there's another fighter coming out of the UFC gym, La Mirada, and he was just like, whatever. But it was love. And I'm kind of out of my
That's cool.
element here in the OC,
Yeah.
but,
Adam freaks out in the OC.
yeah. That happens too. But with that all being said, it's just like, I kind of shared a bit of the, what was it? I think it was the Holloway and Poirier kind of after all the dust had settled, and Rogan was trying to get his interview, and they caught what Holloway and Poirier were saying, and, they were like, exchanging hugs and whatever.
Yeah.
And we see that almost like every fight card, and it's not
Almost.
something.
Almost.
Yeah,
But you bring it up, so we better talk about that.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
let's go from top to bottom.
well, the thing about it is the camaraderie. It could be different gyms, different. I've seen Saxons,
Sit
shake
down.
hands with like Team Victory, and different. Like we had it with Alan Joban and Ben Saunders. Those are two 10 Planet HQ guys, and
Yeah.
Huge.
and one knocked the other one out, and it was just like, bro,
It's
Yeah.
work.
I get it.
It's what I get paid to do.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
yeah, so it's kind of crazy, and I want to kind of parlay it on this. So obviously, one of your initial kind of introspective on the sport of MMA was Tito and Chuck, right? The
Yeah.
second one. So how, as a fighter yourself, how has it been seeing the progression of MMA to like 2019, where it's on ESPN? There's two different promotions on ESPN.
Huge.
There's one championship.
Right.
Bellator is owned by Viacom.
Right.
Like, as a fighter yourself, like, how crazy has this progression been?
And that's a really good question, because there's so much that has changed, but also I think you see, as far as like business and just like I was talking before, like all the things you don't see, I think even that's evolved. Obviously, we could say fighters are making a lot more money now, right?
About
Than
time.
even that time, I think it was just starting to come to, but now
Right.
it's like
They
these
did
guys
it
are
because
like,
they loved it.
right, exactly, and now these guys are like, it's almost on that NFL, NBA.
It better be, right? I
soccer,
get worried
you know
about
what
the
I mean?
Reebok
So,
deal and all that.
Yeah, it's like actually becoming the mainstream sport that is great for MMA. As far as on a second note, though, is like careers. You see guys that now, like the Nate Diaz or the Tito, the Chuck, I think those days are
The stars,
behind.
man. Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Where you don't need to fight 30 times, and now you see guys like Garbrandt, 8-0 or whatever. Sean
Yeah,
O'Malley is
that's
actually
right.
a Montana guy. I remember when he was an amateur, and he's another guy that was like 7-0 as a pro, or 6-0, and the
pretty cool.
UFC called him up. Yeah, I remember he was an amateur, like literally, and they were like, "Oh, this guy's like the coolest amateur." I remember like we were just like, like
That's heavy.
ground and pound that dude, like
Yeah.
no problem. Now
Yeah.
like. I remember it was like
class.
Sean O'Malley, like
Yeah.
no way, this guy, like, and now he's the guy you see the Sugar Show or whatever.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's definitely evolved as far as careers go. Like guys are 5-6-0. Like I just saw a guy Costa, right? Something Costa. He's
Yeah,
4-0.
absolutely.
Mickey Gall was 3-0. Like obviously those are a little more rare, but I mean now it's these guys are getting the UFC
They're
now.
getting chances.
Right. At not 30 fights, 25 fights in their career. Like I feel like those days are kind of behind us as
Yep,
much.
yep.
I mean, yeah, you get guys like that have a certain amount of fights, but I think guys are getting shots early on like 5-1 or, you know, obviously the Contender Series.
It could
right?
be athleticism. It's the Contender Series. It's the Ultimate Fighter. All
Yeah,
these different
absolutely.
ways to get in. Who
Exactly.
you know, what you can do
Ex-
can make a
yep.
big difference, right?
Exactly.
Very impactful. But, you know, Adam brought up Max and Dustin Poirier. I can't ignore that because it's the topic of conversation on every MMA person's mouth right now. I mean, that was a grinding fight. That's
That
the
was a
kind
hell
of
of a
thing
fight.
that everybody wants to see.
Yeah.
That's what you pay for. What'd you
Yep.
think?
That was an awesome fight. Like, that was definitely a crowd pleasing fight. Like, that was a money worth fight. Like, that was a hell of a fight.
You ever run into Max when you're in Hawaii?
You know, but I remember I didn't run into him, but like they're like, hey, like I remember my boxing coach, like they're in, you know, obviously they knew like the fighters in
Sure.
KG
Right,
knew.
right.
So they're like, hey, like if you're thinking about like really like we could get you, but like we think you should go over like to Oahu, you know, and train there. And I remember my girlfriend at the time was like, oh, you know, like we're like she was a really prideful girl, so she's like, I'm Big Island girl, you know.
That's right.
Like that's the other island. It's like, well, it's Hawaii, you know.
Yeah.
But anyways,
No, it is. Everybody's got their own thing. That's
you know,
for
so
sure.
I ended up saying, you know, like, hey, like if I'm gonna go to a bigger gym, like California, right? Like that's how I ended up coming back, and
Yeah.
Right,
it's
right.
like, you know, that's the next best thing. But I mean, Max's gym is obviously there's a lot of guys coming out of that gym,
Pumping,
now.
right?
Yeah, they
It's
are
happening.
pumping guys out. Like
Well, even as part of town, Waianae, Makaha, all that. It's a breeding ground for fighters, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
yeah, like Waianae is like that. That's, you know, I'm sure you've been there.
Yeah, of course.
You know, so it's like actually like the hood, you know, like
It
that's
is
like the hood in
If
Hawaii. It's
Hawaii
crazy.
has a hood. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
like I remember we
Right?
went to a luau and like we're on the beach and actually like it was just interesting, like towels on the windows, you know,
Sure.
like just like, you know, I mean, walking on the beach like
Chickens and
dogging,
everything
you know,
else,
like
yeah.
damn, I feel like I'm in the
Oh,
hood.
hell
Like,
yeah.
this is the
There's
hood
a lot
right
of that.
here.
You shouldn't be walking through
You
that
know, like
town.
I'm putting like drinks in the cooler,
The
like
bus
setting up for
drops
the
you off in
luau.
Waianae, run for your life.
Yeah, like it's the real deal. So I know Max is a freaking, that guy's obviously that guy's a hammer, you know. Like,
Yeah.
that guy can scrap for sure.
Proved it. Grab the microphone, Robert.
He
Robert,
also
our producer.
trains with Gracie Technics.
Yeah.
and
Where are
all
they
of-
at?
They're in
In town?
Kalihi.
Oh, okay.
So it's another different type of hood because Waianae is more like country,
Yeah.
and then like where he's at in Kalihi is more urban. It's like almost like Honolulu area.
It's Compton of
But
Honolulu.
then but then you have all the Section 8 housings in that area. Like if you walked, there's a famous boxing gym called Kalakaua Boxing Gym, where a lot of guys train at,
Yeah.
and they're like not too far, like maybe a 5-minute walk, but it's surrounded by this place called Kalakaua Housings, which is just completely Section 8. And then 10 minutes up one way, you've got like another Section 8 housings, then another 10 minutes down the other way, and it's just all gangs, Crips, Bloods.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. Well, I mean, Waianae's got their own Crips and Bloods out there too, and gangs, but there's just a ton.
That's why we
Oh,
have
yeah.
Dog the Bounty
Ton.
Hunter.
Yeah, that's crazy, John. That the Sony, the guy that ran it, he was actually him and Kaleo. There's a guy Kaleo at the boxing gym in Kona. They work for Dog. They were one of
Yeah.
those bounty hunters. So like they're
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they
Well, he's
they were like
kid.
on the show. You look it up. His name's Kaleo Padilla and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
Sony
yeah.
Westbrook. Those
That's
are
what I
the
was-
boxing coaches.
That's right. That's right.
Kaleo.
Sonny, yeah, the big guy. He's a
Yeah,
big boy.
Sony Westbrook. Yeah, he
That's
actually.
right.
So Junior, right?
Yeah, well, Junior's that's his son. Like people know
Yeah.
know him.
Okay.
a
I
lot.
love both
So
but
this
they're
is
both
Sonny
on the show.
Westbrook that fought Pride.
Yes.
Mustache.
Yes. yes. I know.
No,
I
I
know.
did-
Yeah.
Don?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. God. Why am I?
Why am I like blanking out right now? They fought in the hotel lobby.
Yes.
Oh yes.
That's
That's
him,
Sony.
right?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
That's-
That it's him. Like he,
him, yes.
you know him. He's a
He's
big
a
old
scrapper.
Samoan, so he was just laughing. He was like, yeah, I was in the hotel.
Yeah.
You know, I remember telling me the story, and I'm like, wow, like that's crazy, you know. And he was just like
Right?
nothing, you know, like
Yeah.
like it's just like nothing, you know. But
Don Fry.
Don Fry,
Fry.
yeah, he's like,
He fought Don Fry.
uh-huh.
That's a big dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Sonny's a big dude, but to
Yeah.
fight Don Fry,
Fry,
geez
yeah.
almighty.
Yeah.
I mean, the Predator. That like in his prime. My goodness. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then obviously, for me, for my money, obviously the semi and the main event were arguably the best. Like if
Yeah,
they
that
went
was
the
crazy.
fight,
That was
you know,
crazy
in
fight.
contention for the best fights in history.
Mhm.
They're definitely the first, like the best co and main event
right.
conjunction,
together.
right?
back to back. They both went to decisions after
Hard fought,
wars.
right?
So Adesanya,
For interim titles.
Yeah.
And Adesanya, or Stylebender as we know him.
Yes.
And Gastelum. I mean, geez. I mean, what
That was
was your
crazy.
take on that one?
Stylebenders, that guy, I think, obviously those guys are both awesome fighters. I think Gastelum, there's some times where, like, I thought he had him hurt and he tried to wrestle him. But Stylebender, like, he's the real deal, like, he's the real deal. He's hard to take down, hard to hold down, and his stand-up is, obviously, he's there,
Right.
His stand-up is incredible, so. But it's fun to watch. It's like, I think it's interesting to see him fight again. I know John Jones is talking trash, and that would be, man, that would be a hell of a fight.
well,
That would
we
be
watched him fight
interesting.
Anderson Silva, and I know it's later in the years for Anderson
Yeah.
Silva. So this was the test. With Gastelum, we really
Yeah.
saw him get pushed 5 rounds.
Yeah, and
Okay.
what I've heard is Gastelum, I was 100% prepared, like he felt he
Yeah.
was ready to go. So Stylebender beat the best Kevin Gastelum,
Right.
I think,
I think so.
And absolutely, I mean, and Gastelum, obviously, training in Huntington Beach at
Yeah.
King's MMA and Mercado Muay Thai,
Yeah.
right? But there were points, and I believe it was Brendan Schaub and Joe Rogan talking about it on the MMA show,
Yeah.
where, and I echo the same sentiments, where Kelvin cracked the matrix that is Stylebender. Like, there were points, I mean, if you look at Stylebender's
Yeah.
face, I
Yeah.
think Shab alluded to it. It looked like he had like an allergic reaction to shellfish or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. I've had that.
So I mean,
I know that
That's
feeling.
true.
How did you feel about Kelvin's performance?
I thought, man, like you said, you hit the nail right on the head. I thought that fight obviously was like an incredible fight. Like, even the end was great. Like the 5th round was probably like one of the best rounds. Like that was
it
a
was.
crazy
Oh my
round.
God.
How's
Like,
that for gas
5th round.
tanks, right?
Yeah, exactly.
a
And that
gas
elbow,
tank?
like
Right.
when he
Fifth.
dropped him, Stylebender, like I was like, wow. But like Gaslam didn't go out. I was like, dang, these guys are like,
Warriors.
These guys are
among
going,
warriors.
like-
Gaslam's still young, bro. He got
Yeah.
in it early.
Yeah,
he
absolutely.
did. He
He was the
did.
youngest at the time ever.
Yeah,
win the
that's what I
Ultimate
heard.
Fighter?
That's
Yeah.
what they were
Yeah,
saying. Like he
absolutely.
was just turned. His birthday was like on the day, like the youngest. Like,
Sleeping
Right,
on his
absolutely.
mom's couch
Yeah.
in Yuma, Arizona, and
Crazy.
then just to become the fighter he is today, he's still got a chance.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
He's not out of contention,
yeah.
The crazy thing to me, because obviously there's been talk about the weight classes and what one championship is
Yeah.
doing in terms of letting fighters fight at their natural weight.
Yeah.
The fact that these 2 title fights were interim title fights. So essentially, for the winner, hey, good luck.
Yeah, now you get the champion, right? Yeah, it's like this
you,
is
you
this
got
is your
Habib.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck. You got Robert Whitaker.
Right?
Like that.
That was a fight, but not like that. Those fights, because both guys were so hungry. Where like to me, it was an interesting fight. It was like crazy. It was like Usman and Woodley. Like I did not predict that.
That was
I don't think
amazing.
anybody did.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
The fighting
absolutely.
action
And,
figure.
like obviously those are both like old school wrestlers. So obviously like even Usman, I remember Usman was in college and like wrestling, and I remember hearing his name and like early on he was like 4 fights in his career, but like I didn't predict that, So going forward for those guys, like maybe those guys will have those kind of championship fights, where they kind of like demolish the
Possibly.
champion. You never know, but
Absolutely.
This is their time.
yeah,
If
Yeah.
they're going to do it, it's time to step that up.
yeah,
Dang right. So speaking of time and stepping up, right?
Yeah.
So if we were to look in the crystal ball of Aaron Lafarge,
yeah,
the day after tax day 2020,
yeah.
where would you like to see yourself?
Like call me crazy or whatever, but I really like 2020. I set a goal to be like the best, or if it's if the UFC keeps the flyweight division, or if it's to be in the biggest organization as possible. Like
It's good. That's a good thought
2020 is
process.
like is like I'm really like focused this time around.
That's
I
awesome.
know what to expect. I know what the fights. I know what to be in deep waters is like, to be in there with a striker, to be in there with another grappler. So it's like, I just see myself at the highest stage of my career. So, that's where I see
I
myself.
like it.
Damn right.
I feel it. And
You
I'm
know-
glad you say it because
Yeah.
there's power in speaking something.
Absolutely.
There's power in that, and he means it. So
Yeah.
Aaron Lafarge's the man.
Yeah. And I like to win obviously before I get to that stage, I would like to win a belt somewhere in an organization, like to fight for a belt, and
Hell yeah.
progress on.
You hear my man?
Yeah, I mean, if any,
Yeah.
you know, I'm a hungry guy, so
That's a fact.
it's time. You got to eat, you know.
That's right.
And
I love it.
there's noise to be made. There's ACA. There's one championship.
Yep.
Lights out.
Lights Out's popping off soon.
Yeah, lights out. I
mean,
did see that with Sean
go-
Marion. Oh, Marion, excuse me.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's all good.
absolutely. You know,
So
Combate Americas. You know, and I think it's like Tyrion
yeah.
Ware is fighting Jordan Winsky.
Yes. Is that Cage Wars?
CFFL,
Oh,
right?
CFL. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is. CFFL.
CFFL, right?
We're going to CFL on Saturday.
Yes,
You and
we
I.
are.
There's a different
Yes, we
one.
are.
Yeah.
So,
Victorville.
Victorville, the Gym Crashers are coming for you.
That's right.
Noogies.
That's it.
There you go.
We're going to crash the desert.
Yeah.
But hey, Khalil Roundtree, Eric Anders. I had Eric Anders myself, but it didn't happen.
I
I gotta know.
Yeah.
We're up against the clock.
man.
We got 5 minutes ticking.
Oh,
Tell
shit.
me about
Okay.
Khalil Roundtree, Eric Anders.
Man, I'm a little guy, so I watch a lot of the little guys.
Yeah.
You guys probably know more. You guys probably more insight on these bigger guys.
Sure. I hear you.
So-
But Khalil, man, he was kind of amazing.
Yeah, I'd take Khalil Roundtree on that one.
I thought Eric had it, but then these guys are telling me that Khalil was spending time at Tiger Muay Thai. He was in Thailand, and it made a huge difference. So,
Although I like Andrew, I like the other
Eric
guy because he was an
Andrews, yeah.
Alabama football guy. You know?
Bama.
He actually played football. I think it's pretty cool when guys like transition from other sport
Yeah,
like that.
I love that.
Obviously, they have that explosiveness and
Yeah,
that you know.
Mitrione's the biggest one that I know. That
Right,
went,
100%.
a long way,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Some people try it, but they don't do so well. But Mitrione made a career.
For sure. For
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, even Jones's brother is an NFL player.
Yeah,
Yeah.
both of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Like John Jones is the run of the pack.
Yeah.
Both both of John Jones's older brothers are not only football players, but they both have Super Bowl rings,
Yeah.
or at least
Crazy.
one ring between them.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know,
Refrigerator-sized men.
yes,
Yeah.
and again, John Jones, arguably one of the greatest pound for pound fighters, whatever.
Sure.
And he was the runt. I think Chandler, one of his brothers, was like, "Oh, I'll fight my brother," and
Yeah.
like
Eat him
pick
up.
up a paycheck. Yeah, that's
hell
cool.
yeah. Robert, our
Crazy thing
producer.
is, Khalil, he was destroying those legs. I don't understand how Anders was still
up.
alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't even know how he even made it out that got to the third round, made through the third round after the second. He got dropped. I'm like a couple times. I'm
And
like,
just leg kicks, then the right. There's
yeah, the hook. It was
That
like,
hook. Oh
who
my
stands? I
fucking
mean, if you see Roundtree before, that dude's huge, and
Yeah.
that guy's got so much power. I mean, he beat one of my favorite kickboxers of all time.
Gokhan Saki?
Yeah, he beat Gokhan Saki.
Yes, he did, yeah.
I was like, oh man, I feel so bad for Roundtree. I love that dude. He's cool, man. I mean, I send texts to him every once in a while, like, and I was like, oh, I don't know what to do with this one.
Right.
And then he put him away. I'm like, oh shit.
People expected a lot from Gokhan Saki when he came to UFC.
Dude, have you ever? You gotta watch that.
I
Dude.
know.
His combinations are insane.
Insane,
I get
right?
it.
Insane
I get
And
it,
that's
but
just the last 4 weeks of his training camp, right? So, I mean, I literally saw like all from Twitter to Facebook to Instagram. Apparently, every fighter we know is moving to Thailand. Because, like, yeah, after
I wanna
that
go with them.
performance, it was just like, oh my gosh! It was. I mean,
you
Eric
kicked
Anders-
bamboo for 8 weeks. Watch what happens.
Yeah, well, that's what Eric Anders' legs ended up becoming, and he's
Right?
a stud athlete, as
Yeah.
you alluded
Yeah,
to.
that's-
And again, Khalil just ate him up
Yeah.
for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It was nuts.
Pretty
yeah,
cool.
I think they both got like. I mean, even though Anders lost, like he's just like Max. Like, how the hell did you take so many hits and punches?
Right.
and you're standing.
Standing,
Like, you
yeah.
guys are not
Or-
human.
And
Even the fact that,
well,
I mean, Anders was standing on his legs. That was the most damaged body part, you know, and there was a point where
Probably
he
full
got-
of blood clots and God knows what else.
Yeah, and I mean, he got dropped by one and was turtling up, and then Khalil was just like, okay, I attack the inside of your leg. Oh, I'm gonna fuck up the other side of your leg, and I was just like, by the time he stood up, it was just purple.
Crazy.
Yeah,
What do you think?
that was a lot. Like that whole card was interesting. Like I even watched another guy's fight. Like I didn't expect that. Like a different Hawaii, Boston Salmon.
Oh,
Oh
yes.
yeah,
he's a
yeah.
boxing
Early
guy.
on, yeah,
for
early
sure.
on,
And
yeah.
I was actually watching him.
I love that you
know
watch the Hawaii Boys.
Yeah, like I know he fought Earl Spence in the amateurs
Yes.
and stuff. So, like I was just keeping up on that, you know, because obviously like a boxing is another good thing I like to follow. But I was surprised by him getting knocked out and as fast as he did. I thought he would definitely.
Sure.
But I know that guy will be back. That he's fun to watch.
Got heart.
Yeah, he's got good hands too.
And even in defeat, you
Yeah.
earn the hearts of mind and captivate the souls of the fans.
Yeah.
So he's gonna earn a pretty penny the next time he steps in the ring.
Yeah.
For his family, and to add to his legacy. So even in a loss, he wins.
Exactly, that's true.
Yeah,
it's an interesting way to look at it. So,
damn right. So, my brother, great to have you.
Yeah,
but I want to get some shout outs out of the way. Obviously,
huge
thing, there's you step into the cage alone, but there's a litany of people that have kind of helped you along the way. So let's get some shout outs out of the way, man.
All my training partners that I've had over, the years and time. For sure, like right now, I'd like to shout out the professor over at Gracie Bar Fullerton. His name's Justin Workman. The guy is like a super, he's an awesome guy, nice guy, welcoming guy. He's very smart, technical. Even everybody in Hawaii, like Sonny Westbrook and Khalil Padillo, those guys I
love that.
I was just a kid going in there, and they always took care of me, and just everybody in Hawaii. And then obviously like all my old buddies, like all my coaches through the years. So
it's cool, man.
Thank them.
I even saw you out at CMMA with Chad George and those guys.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. Chad. Chad and I is just a funny relationship, but Chad's a good guy. I always consider Chad a friend of mine. So.
Right. He presses things, man. He really pushes it. So they train hard.
Yep. So, but definitely that's who I shout out right now, and just everybody who supports me, supports this, this show too.
Thank you. Hey, and then Ray Lopez. Come on.
Yeah, and Ray Lopez, of course.
An inspiration
Rest
to everybody.
In peace, Ray, man.
Rest in peace, Ray.
But never will be forgotten, man.
Now, to find out all things that is. You, Mr. Aaron Lafarge.
Yeah.
Where can people find you on social media to see where you're in training, what you're up to, and I know you're going to break the breaking news about your next fight on this show.
You better text me at least.
Yeah. I'll have to let you guys know when it's official.
Yeah, absolutely.
I might even sign the contract on here. I don't know.
Come back and do it. Bring the guys.
That's what we're doing here on the Gym Crashers.
Yeah, I'll definitely let you guys know once I get
we would love that.
The place in hand. So
where can people find you, man?
You can find me on, I got Instagram, and I actually have a Twitter too, but those are the two main places you could find me. I post occasional, on the story, my training, my sparring, so maybe you see
it's good
cool
stuff.
clips. Keep updated. So.
Yeah. And what's that Instagram handle?
It's my name, and the space is a space in between my last name. It's Aaron, Aaron, and then LA space Farge, or it's an underscore actually, so you can find me there. And then also
it's right
Twitter
there on the show in front of you. Check it out, Aaron Lafarge.
Yep, there you go.
Like us, subscribe to us, share the link. Check out my man Aaron Lafarge. I'm going to turn it over to Woods to close this show out.
Oh my gosh! So thank you guys for letting us be in the space between your eyes, ears, what have you. But we are the Gym Crashers with Dondo. And according to Woods, thank you, Mr. Aaron Lafarge. It's been a honor and a privilege to have you on. And,
thank you for having me, guys.
Wait to see
Appreciate
all
it.
what you got going on. But this is according to
Always
Woods with Dondo, and we are the Gym Crashers coming to you every Tuesday on the Free Admission Media Television Network, and we are out.
You